Kia ora, Lara here, and I am joining in on Around the World in 30 days. I won't be joining in every day, I just don't have the time at the moment, but I will be trying to pop something up each week. Now, this is also part of May I Scraplift You way back in May. My husband had a bit of an accident, which has sort of put me on the back foot with scrapbooking, but I'm really excited to be able to join in with both this layout as a scraplift of Jodie's fabulous page, as well as travelling around the world. Now, for me, this is not around the world. It was lots of coastal drives and things like that. So this is up the west coast of the South Island, New Zealand, and it was a 7 or 8 hour drive from home, and we went up to a little place between Greymouth and Punakaiki. So Punakaiki is the Māori name for Pancake Rocks area, so that was sort of where we were. And this photo is of my husband and I, which my parents took for me, overlooking the gorgeous coastline on this amazing little wee batch that we found. And it was just this amazing little place, and it's sort of like the house on the rocks. I may have put some other layouts up about this or showing pictures of the little place. If not, they will be coming soon. I have a few scraplift layouts left, as well as the Around the World challenge, sort of that getting away from home and not being in my own space, which is something I feel like I need to do again soon. It's been a while since I've travelled anywhere, and with the whole COVID thing, there hasn't been a lot of travel internationally as well. And so maybe in the near future, once my husband's leg has healed, we might get away. So back in May, he had a bit of a fall, and he broke his right hip, and that has basically put him in a non-weight bearing mode for the last 2.5 months. He's got another fracture clinic appointment coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm really hoping that they'll let him have a little bit more movement and put a little bit more weight on that leg. So you can see there that I have, I'm just pulling out some strips of paper, pulling out some different bits, similar to what Jodie had, different colours, but I'm still playing around with some of the brights in this layout as well. So now I have got one of my stitching stamps, and I've actually pulled out a couple of them, and I'm just adding some faux stitching along these little strips just to change them up a bit, to have a little bit more interest, I guess, when you actually look at the layout. I didn't really feel like getting the sewing machine out, and I'm actually putting this together at a scrapbook day in Invercargill, and so every now and then you see the table wobble, and it's sort of, I'm using a temporary tripod, and the table itself's not super stable, so when I press down with the stamp, it does make things wobble a little bit. So just a few different stamps, and apologies for the wobbling. So these particular days are put on by my friend Claire, and it was really nice to get down there and to do that. But anyway, back to the place that we were, the Around the World place. So Pancake Rocks is a big tourist attraction, I guess, in New Zealand, and there's sort of this cool pathway around all these amazing stacked rocks that look kind of like piles of pancakes, and there's a little cool cafe nearby called, I can't even remember the name of it, but you can kind of order pancakes, surprise, surprise, which is kind of cool, having some pancakes at Pancake Rocks. But lots of tourists walking around there. You'd be hard pressed to find a time when there aren't tourists in that area, but this little batch is it belongs to a friend, so we're really lucky to be able to use it. We had stayed in it quite a few years ago when the same friend used to sort of rent it for the winter, and he'd look after it and keep an eye on it while the owners were overseas. But it's just this amazing little spot, and you're kind of really close to a road, but you kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, and the deck that we're standing on is actually over where the tide comes in. So the tide comes in on some rocks under where this house sits, and it's just kind of this typical, we call them Kiwi batches. Down south here we normally would call them a crib as well. It's just a South Island, North Island dialect difference or a vocab difference, but it's a Kiwi batch in that there's no frills, it's not, there's a shower, you kind of have to keep time limited because you don't want the water to run out, and it's kind of rainwater supplied, and there is quite a cool bathtub there, but we didn't use it because of the water restrictions at that time. There's a plunge pool, and by plunge it is icy freezing, but sort of fed again by that water running down off the hills, or and some of the tide sort of splashes in there at times as well. So just quite an amazing setting, and yeah, just amazing looking up this west coast. They're renowned for sort of wild seas and wild oceans and things like that. Some gorgeous sunrises or their sunsets. I've got to remember my coast. So this was way back in Easter, earlier this year, and yeah, just enjoying being out and about. Long drive, but totally worth it, and loved being away from home. Hey, thank you for watching and listening to my ramblings. Here's the layout that I lifted based on one by Jodie, and I'll link her down below so you can see the original, and just some of the close-up details of some of the stickers and the bits and pieces that I added to this photo of around the world, but still in my own home country. Hey, thanks for watching.